Welcome back to another Techtorial. Today we're going to be talking about visibility in healthcare. I'm Adam Sickman. I brought along one of my colleagues here, Brett. Brett, if you want to do a quick intro of yourself and talk about what we're going to take a look at here, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, Brett Willig. I'm a solution engineer for ThousandEyes. Been here for a little bit. I was an SE before that, so got some experience on the Cisco side, and just going to walk through some healthcare examples of what we've seen from real life customer situations that we've brought into the platform to kind of show off. ThousandEyes is geared for anything and everything. It doesn't matter what we're looking at. It doesn't matter from an application experience. It doesn't matter if who the vendor or the customer we're looking at, right? So we can build specialized things, i.e. healthcare, which we're focused on today, about what we can see, the visibilities we get, the information we get back, just to make sure everyone's aware of things going on and, like systems that are up, systems that are down, i.e. this dashboard. So case in point, we ran across a customer we talked to not too long ago that had a situation where nurses were doing their rounds like every 10 minutes on the floor. They walked by, saw one of the patients was having an issue. So they walked in, smacked the emergency call button, and lo and behold, the emergency call button did not work. So she's screaming down the floor, like trying to get people to come help her, getting crash carts and things like that, just going through the medical things that they should be doing, the protocols they do to help the patient. Ultimately, the patient was fine. But what happened was they realized that the call button was not working. So the systems behind there, the IP-based systems, weren't online. IT or the technical department that was in charge of that platform had been doing updates on it and thought it was back online. Well, lo and behold, some of the network segments, it was not communicating, it was not working. They found out the hard way this way. So it brought up some situations where we can build dashboards around testing to certain systems, certain IP addresses, certain URLs and applications out there, just like what we're doing here. So we can focus on different systems, different nursing applications, different healthcare access applications. I mean, think about infant abduction. Think about making sure that system is working on, the infant floors. Someone walks out with a child with a wristband on their leg and that system goes off, right? We want to make sure that stays online. There's no issues. Same thing with like door locks, emergency call buttons, no different. So when we get situations like that, we're testing, we can bring that into a dashboard. This is simply just from the tests we run. We're bringing this data into a dashboard, and we can display this. I mean, the nurses station don't necessarily have to have a display to see this, but we can take these widgets and embed them into different websites. Say they have a status web page. Maybe the IT has set them up a status web page, status.healthcaresystem.com, and they can embed these widgets in here to see like greens and reds, simple up, down. If these are up, do your rounds every 10 minutes. But if you see like the door locks and emergency call button are down, do your rounds every 1 or 2 minutes. So it gives a different policy shape for some of those nursing, like the floor, some of the nursing systems they have out there, just the people to get them information on things going on, because they're not always up to date on what's going on with IT. So this gives them a little view and a kind of a stance to know what's happening, and they can kind of change their policy based on systems that are up or down. So simply put, we just built a dashboard around it. We can click into some of these systems if they wanted to on the IT side to see what the issue is and kind of go from there. But just different use cases we can use from healthcare. I mean, EMR systems, you're talking about PACS and things like that that are really critical to healthcare functioning. We just throw it in a dashboard and they can view it that way. So
Brett, appreciate you running through that with us. Next, we're going to shift over to a little bit of a less critical situation, but we're going to look at an on-prem hosted EHR system that we have captured DDoS with. Now I want to talk about the power of baselines, its correlation to application availability, and our ability to alert on that in a proactive fashion using deviations from those baselines. What we're looking at here is a full synthetic transaction with this specific EHR system in the customer network, and ultimately looking at every other layer that's associated with that, all the different components that make up that transaction. So we're going through a full page load, understanding what all the components are that build that page. We're looking at the layer 7 availability and the responsiveness of that. We're looking at the network components that are associated with that, as well as a few other things. What we can see here is that it normally takes around 2 seconds to load that page out. Anything under 3 in today's world is a really good start. And then all of a sudden you can see that it starts to deviate, right? So in this first instance, we have now been alerted that, hey, our EHR system has taken a really long time to load. Something's going on. And as we click through here, we can see that if I click on a big spike, our waterfall view starts to immediately paint a picture of what's going on. So you can see immediately this large bar in this graph, and it's indicating that DNS is taking over 6.5 seconds to load. That gives us a point to be able to really quickly correlate what's going on. So we know that the network's clean, we know that the application's still available, and our other tools potentially haven't alerted to us because it's not hard down. But the synthetics that ThousandEyes is doing is telling us that, hey, this page is taking a really long time to load for all of your users. As we shift over and take a deeper look at the DNS infrastructure, we can immediately draw a couple of correlations based on the analytics that ThousandEyes is polling. One is that the availability of these servers is dropping drastically. Two is that if we look on the right-hand side after the problem cleared, that established baseline for resolution time is around 26 milliseconds. We can see it's taking around 1.5 seconds to resolve that out today. So something is going on with the resolution time with DNS and the availability of those application servers. But in big red right here, we can see that we're experiencing about 60% loss. And what really differentiates ThousandEyes is our ability to show the full service delivery path from source, right? These could be clinics or hospitals or your data center or outside patient locations. And it shows the full path, hop by hop, to understand where that breakdown's occurring. And you can see that immediately, hey, this is something going on in Comcast network. Now, ThousandEyes alerted the hospital system to this immediately. They were able to work with their ISP, and they were very quickly able to determine that they were getting hit by about 100,000 IP addresses from around the world at the exact same time on this DNS infrastructure. And they were able to stop that through working with the provider and make sure that business carried on as usual here.
It's a really awesome example. Like, we're not a security tool, but we can be used for things like that from a DNS perspective, and just seeing those latencies and pinpoint it, on a DDoS example. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good call out for sure. Certainly, we appreciate you joining and hope you found this insightful. Thanks.